Love you, brother.
Randy Byrd, I love you too, my man. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. You have a huge
100%.
group. I mean, it's like all over the nation, internationally, and I always maybe overuse this term. I love it though, but it's like a rabbit farm on a hormone diet. I mean, it's just taken off.
I haven't heard that one,
growing.
but that's a good one.
It's growing fast. Anyway, so I appreciate you taking the time.
100%.
If you would tell, because this is going to be watched by people all over the nation, internationally, and so on. I'll do a little bit of your background, but maybe you fill in some of the gaps. But you were in construction. I mean, that's kind of a young man's sport, if you will, right? And then you realize, okay, these realtors are making a lot of money on these homes that I'm building or what have you. Maybe I should get my license and get in the game, which you did. And then, gosh, did you ever, right? You went from then being the #1 production team for ReMax in your city, and then went on to be an operating principal, owner of an office, and then a coach and a team leader. I mean,
you're my new PR guy.
I know, right? I'm trying to think, is there anything you haven't done?
Guy.
And now you're so desired as a coach. You just went. You and I both went through the success coaching certification.
Very excited about that.
Prior to that, though, you were a top coach for Tom Ferry nationally. It's just pretty amazing what you've done, from pounding nails to now you have. I think it's at least 2 teams doing over 1,000 deals a year that seek you out to coach them, which is just incredible. Why don't you just share a little bit about your journey in real estate and fill in the gaps there a bit.
Yeah, and you made it sound way sexier than it is. I was a general contractor. I thought that was my career path, and we'd frame a house, build a house over the winter, work in the winter for 7 months, and then sell it and hire an agent to sell it, obviously, and they'd sell it in the weekend, make 40 grand in commission. I'm like, I need to do that also. So it was really just a matter of greed. I wanted all the money. And so we started, I got my license. I was going to sell my own stuff. And, as things happen in life, my ex-wife now, but at the time she wanted to move up to Redding, California. And I just got my real estate license. I was building houses in Sonoma, Napa County, beautiful homes, doing remodels that were $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. Really did not think real estate was my career path, and moving to a new area and really struggling with some back issues and things that come along with 20 years of construction. I started construction in like 92. So by 2003, now we're 20 years now, I was feeling it, at one point, I had to do pain pills and ibuprofen just get my boots on in the morning. And I knew that was not going to be sustainable. So real estate ended up being the next path, but it was kind of accidental. We moved to Redding, brand new area. I said, well, I know 3 people I'm related to 2. So I can either go in construction hard and build it here, which I felt very confident with, or I can go into real estate, which I knew nothing about, 0.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went through a real estate class, got my license, aligned with CPS back then in Napa, Sonoma. Never did a deal with them, but trained with them for 4 or 5 months. So I had the foundational stuff, but started Coldwell Banker in Redding and knew nothing about nothing, and literally went to the training manager, and she goes, oh yeah, we got a whole training library upstairs. So I go upstairs, and I walk, and there's this metal cabinet. I go, that must be it. So I open it up, and literally it was like opening the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's dust falls, and I look up, and there's Floyd Wickman Sweat Hogs, which I didn't know anything. So that's like old school as it got, right?
Yeah, right.
So I did exactly what it said to do. I am a learner, right? I'm coachable. So I grab it and I watch the tape, and it says call 100 people a day. So that's all I did. I called 100 people a day, and people in the market center were making fun of me and they're mocking me, and I'm, just on the phone for 4, 5, 6 hours a day. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, I get my first appointment, got my first deal, ended up making Rookie of the Year. And, I made 38,000 net. So I made over 100 grand in my first, less than 12 months. But I made 38 grand net, and I'm like, I can't live on $38,000, and I'm Rookie of the Year. I have to leave this place. So I went to ReMax, loved that journey. A lot of high producers there, so I was able to move up and learn very quickly. And a couple of years later, Keller Williams kind of swooped into town and made me a couple offers. The third one I couldn't take.
Made them an
couldn't
offer
pass it
you
down.
Can't refuse.
Yeah, I can't refuse. Ownership and 6-figure salary, and letting my team operate normally with the same splits that I had at ReMax. It was too good to be true, but they needed it, and it was a good fit for me, and loved that model. So I was in that model 3.5 years, 2.5 years as a team leader. #1 recruiter in the region, all that stuff like you. I know you're a superstar recruiter. Smaller area, but I was a big fish in a little pond. Loved it, and went on to be the OP from that success, led me to ownership, and was able to get more ownership along the ways, which was awesome until 2008-9 hit. And then we started having to write checks, and all that ownership that I had now acquired and never received a penny from started, costing me money. Ultimately, we had a business divorce, shut down that market center in the tough times of 2009-10, and I went back independent. And that's when I hired Tom Ferry for my coaching to build my own office. And on my second coaching call, my coach goes, I can't coach you. You need to be a coach. And I'm like, I don't want to be a coach. I just tell me what to do, coach.
Right. Yeah.
So I went through a couple coaches, and that led to an interview with Tom Ferry to become a coach. And that's when my journey started about 8 years ago now. And so I love it. EXP came during that Tom Ferry journey when I was an independent. And I just love it. And like I said last night, I think you were there. It's the people. It's the people that we get to be in proximity of and associate with. And it really is the difference. And now, like you and so many others, not take anything away from what we have independently, but have so many of those relationships now. And this company is so special. And, you align with what feels good and stuff. It just happens to be that our team is one of the best teams on the planet.
It really is. We talk about it all the time. It's just amazing, the diversity. And I mean, it's just like first ballot Hall of Famers, kind of thing.
It's fun to be the smallest and least bright person at the table with the crew that I'm hanging out with. So it really is something special.
Now, when EXP came around, you obviously just jumped on it right away. No hesitations, just all in, right? You just saw it.
It sounds good. I said that. Brent Gove asked me to take a look at this. I love Brent. He's always been a friend. I helped recruit Brent to KW. He doesn't remember this story about very well, but it's true. Maureen Barker, because I was a past ReMax guy, said, hey, come in. We got this with the guy we really, really want for Roseville. He's ReMax guy. So they invited him to some kind of regional event, and I was there to shadow him. So all day I was just like this, like we're new friends. And I was total plant. But out of that, we became best friends.
Yeah.
And so from that day on, we really admired and respected each other. Went to Team Leader Boot Camp, which is what his story is, where we met. But actually, I was a covert operative prior to that.
Yeah.
So we've been best friends ever since. So I said, Brent, I love you, but no, I'm just not interested. Just kind of got scar tissue from KW, and I'm independent now, and things were rolling. I felt really good about the next steps. He said, just do it for me then. Don't do it for you. Look at it for me, poke holes in it. And I'm like, I can poke holes in this.
Right.
I got this. You want me to tear the cover off this thing? I will. And he goes, I want you to. And I'm like, all right.
So, help me not make a bad decision and all this stuff, right? Yeah.
And Brent, in his infinite wisdom, that was, you can't unsee it. And that's become a coined phrase with Jay Kinder and people now. But I was watching this webinar, and I was like this, 7 a.m. He's in bed. I didn't know that time. He's in bed.
No, he says now he went back to sleep.
And I'm like, I'm on Zoom, so I'm trying not to, look attached to it. But about 20 minutes into it, Rob Flick and I love Rob Flick if you're looking at this, but he told the story for like 20 minutes. It was too much for me, right? I was I'm trying to help Brent. I don't really care about Rob at this time. And about 20 minutes into it, he said something that I literally went, what? Say that again. And he goes, it's revenue share. It pays on the front end, and it's, cascading 7 levels. And I understood Keller Williams very well. And I was like, they can't, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, right.
And he goes, I'm going to prove it to you that it's sustainable and all this stuff. And I go, how many agents? And 2,400 in the whole company. And I'm like, it's not that proven yet. It's a great idea.
We'll see.
Yeah. And then I go, and he goes, publicly traded. And I go, what's the ticker? And he goes, it's an OTC. And I go, pink sheet, over the counter stock. I go, okay, so that's like 3 strikes. But I'm like totally intrigued. I go, if this math works, this company will blow up. This is massive. And so when I got off the call, I called Brent. And I go, dude, this is too good to be true. I love you. It's too good to be true. Yeah. It's amazing. And if these things are true, I would do it. And I'd burn your ships. And he's like, I'm doing it, dude. Let's look into this together. Yeah. And if it's true, will you do it with me? And I'm like, well, yeah, if it's true.
Right.
And so, over the next couple of days, sure enough, and I came in like a week after Brent. And, the rest is history, right? The sad part of the story is I sat on my hands for 2.5 years in fear for a particular coaching company. I might have, already said, but particular coaching company would not allow me to recruit and
Sure.
they were, very set against it because as a coach, you're held to a higher standard.
You have influence.
You got all
all
these,
sorts of
got
stuff.
all these companies that we coach with on the national level and national accounts, Coldwell Banker, ReMax, all this. So I understood, but I lived in a place of fear of losing that. Rather than being in abundance, I lived in a place of fear of losing that income that I've now, really depended on as I transitioned into coaching. And at this time, I'd moved to Oregon from Napa.
Okay.
And so I was brand new place, brand new location, brand new everything. And, looking back on it, I'm not a big guy for regrets, but that'd be the top of the list.
Got it.
Not doing it sooner.
Yeah. Okay. So you're coaching,
Yeah.
and part of it was you had a secure salary. You had a good salary. You're doing well, right?
Yeah.
And you had influence there. I mean, a lot of good tangibles. But there was a point where you said, okay, I'm going to burn the ships. I'm going all in EXP, which means you had to step away from the coaching organization, do your own coaching, and just go for it, right? So maybe talk a little, because there's people that are watching this that are at different stages. They're production team leaders, they're operating principals, they're coaches, so on. And there is that aspect of making that change. People fear change. It's uncomfortable and so on. Totally. What was it for you that caused you to, go all in, as you say?
It was Brent sending me his rev share every month for 2 years.
Growing.
For 2 years, and literally watching the organizational growth that he was having. I was at 0. So I had it 2 years, and I think it was like 3 months into EXP. So I joined in September of 2016. So now 18 September of 18, I was still at 0.
Wow.
And then I went to Vegas and, saw the light basically. I met Glenn Sanford. They went on the NASDAQ. I think it was April of 18 that happened. So it was about 1.5 years into it. And so at that point, I just said, you know what, I'm going to transition. By the end of this year, which was the end of 19 now, I decided that I'd transition out of coaching for Tom Ferry and a coaching program and just start my own thing and really focus on the EXP thing. I did it under the radar a little bit in the beginning, just trying to get ahead of the curve. But when you bring on Don Yoakum and Tom Daves, it's hard to keep that quiet.
Yeah.
And so all the posting and all the tagging and things that I got complaint number 1, complaint number 2, complaint number 3, complaint number 4. At that point is when I decided I was going to hang my own shingle at the beginning of the year, which was 2020. And so I put in notice, got another complaint. I said, I'm already, I'm leaving at the end of the year. Massive respect for Tom Ferry. Massive respect. He's a brilliant guy. He's got a big coaching program, but it's just different. So I started January 2020, 0 agents in my coaching program. I wasn't allowed to contractually talk to a single person in the Tom Ferry enterprise, which was 7,000 agents. And, most of the top agents in the country. So I said, I'm going to do this anyway. So, fast forward, I had 2 clients I was really proud of at a nice discount to get my coaching practice started, and COVID hit. So here I am. I got rid of a multiple 6-figure salary with, that coaching program, and was really kind of on my own. And it was scary. It was thin. It was scary. I was giving second thoughts to some of the decisions, looking back at construction and flipping. I was flipping. So I had that going. And then lo and behold, coaching blew up because the agents really needed that in that time. It was opposite of what I thought. I thought that they would be hunkering down. Instead, they were really looking for direction. And so, the rest is history. Very quickly, I built out my calendar. It was full. By this time, we were going all in. I don't remember the exact numbers, but we grew very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
100 agents in the first, balance of the rest of that year. We got to 300 agents the next year. We got to 600 agents the next year. So we were just on a trajectory for doubling.
Yeah. And now you're, right at 1,000.
Whisker into 1,000. And
not for long.
Yeah, it's been growing 8 to 11%. For the last 24 months. So it's pretty special.
So briefly talk about success coaching, because you said you went on your own, you had 2 clients, it was a step of faith.
Yeah.
Again, got uncomfortable, did it, and it grew. Now, you have 2 teams that are doing over 1,000 deals a year that are paying you to coach them, and you're one of the most desired coaches in all of EXP.
Thank you. Appreciate
It's pretty amazing. And then you decided to do the success coaching when you had your own practice. Why, people go, why do I need success coaching? Why am I going to do that?
Yeah, that was actually a short decision. Watching what Glenn Sanford's built with EXP and what he's been able to achieve, and the purchase of Success Magazine wowed me. I mean, it gives me goosebumps to say it again. A 125-year-old publication he was able to purchase and roll into into the umbrella of what we provide. And to me, I think it just is a perfect alignment. And I saw something at the beginning stages that I didn't want to be on the bench for again. And we're still unraveling some, how to put some past clients and new clients. And really it's just a delineation in time. If somebody has a coaching practice, they can pause that and continue to serve it. And then just all new things would be under the success umbrella. Yeah. So that's what I've done. And the success people, Jarek and Marcus, and they're just first class.
They're awesome.
First class humans.
Absolutely.
So I feel very confident that the future with that's going to be very bright. And, it's exciting times. They're talking about impacting 1 billion people through coaching. And the world needs it in multiple levels.
So I want to respect your time. Why don't you just speak to the people out there, the agents, the broker owners, the Keller Williams team leaders, the other brokers team leaders, whoever it is that may be watching this and hearing more about EXP and maybe thinking about it, starting the process. Maybe you could just speak to that a little bit as kind of final thoughts or what have you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Most are not going to hear it anyway right now, right? It all comes at a time that you need to hear it, and you hear things when you need to hear them. But I will say, you owe it to your family, you owe it to your financial future to look at the opportunities that this business venture provides. And forget about the EXP logo and brand for a minute. Think about the model. The model is what's changed. You take the traditional model when you have, the owner at the top and then regional managers and regional directors and regional everything. And then you get to the market centers and then you have market center staff and all these people. At the very bottom of that food chain is the agent, the only one providing income to every one of those levels, 7, 9, 10 above them. And then the 6% franchise goes across all of that up to the very top to fund some of that activity. And Glenn inverted the model. He literally turned the model upside down and put the agent at the top. So the income earner of the whole operation is now the agent, and everything has to fall below the line, which is the agent's production value. So if all the agents bring in $1 million, they have $500,000 to operate the company on. If they bring in 10 million, they got 5 million. They can grow within that 5 million. If they bring in 100 million, they have 50 million. And that's really the model, is it has to stay in that balance. And there's some things in place to allow that to have a little bit of flexibility around that balance, because sometimes it's historical, but it's a NASDAQ traded company. We're the wealthiest company in a real estate space on the planet. EXP has more value than Compass, more value than Realogy, which includes 8 brands, Century 21, Sotheby's, big names, Coldwell Banker, Better Homes and Gardens. They're all under one umbrella. We're worth almost 2 times what that company is with 8 brands. And so when you look at that, it's not just a fad. It's the real deal. And so the longevity of that and the fact that it is a NASDAQ traded company creates a lot of transparency that is really, really refreshing. We talked about open books at my last company, but they weren't really open. Right. You had layers of openness that you got to see depending on where you were in the company. But this is a NASDAQ traded company that we're fully audited I think it's in 3 months.
Yeah, 90 days.
It's ridiculous, right? It gives me a lot of belief that there's a foundation there that's going to grow into something very, very significant. And I think the exciting part of it is a lot of us, even me, look back and go, man, if I would have done things like this back then, but the opportunity is greater now than it's ever been.
Absolutely.
Because now we have substance, we have, we're proven, we have financials. I mean, I think we're only real estate company with money in the bank. Everybody else
I think
is
we're
in
sitting
debt,
on $100 million at any given time.
And stuff. And some of these other companies are billions with a B in debt. And they have this massive liability load with offices. And the way this model is built is just lean and mean.
I love it.
It's lean and mean. Yeah.
I know you got to run. Thank you so much for your time, man. I love you so much. You're awesome.
You're an emerging leader that we're really excited to see moving up the ladder. And I appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thanks, man. Bam.